Hi, I'm Phyllis Griffith and I live in Entiat.
Phyllis, what brought you to Entiat?
My folks bought the Step and See Dude Ranch up Muddy Creek, and I was going to school, and so I was only home on weekends. But they had the place 2 years up there, and then they sold it. And then I moved to Wenatchee.
So what year was that?
We moved over June the 5th, 1964. And I remember that because I graduated the day before from high school.
So where did you come from?
North Bend.
A good place to be from.
Well, if you like rain.
That's what I say, a good place to be from.
I'm not a fan of rain.
So your family did the Dude Ranch, but how did you make your living?
I was going to school at junior college,
Okay.
and like I said, I came home on weekends, and when my mother got sick, then they sold it, so by the time I graduated from Wenatchee Valley College, I had lost her, and my dad was still sailing, so I went to Central.
And what kind of degree did you get at Central?
I was there a year and decided that wasn't my thing. Come back to Wenatchee, went to business school for a year, and went to work what was Pioneer Title.
As a bookkeeper.
Yeah, bookkeeping. What I still do.
Okay. Then how did you and Carl meet?
Our mothers. My mother worked down at the warehouse. Alice worked down at the warehouse. And I think they were plotting. But when my mother got sick, my brother went and moved in with Alice and Warren because he still had 2 years of high school. So then he graduated from Entiat in '66. So one thing led to another.
Do you think our moms were funny?
Oh, I know they were.
Right over my head.
After you were married and lived here, who were your neighbors?
Well, when we were first married, we lived out in a little brown house next to what now is Jackie Blanchfield's real estate. And then for quite a few years, we lived in the little house across from the school where Snyder's live now. And we were there till '76. And our neighbors then were Grandma and Grandpa Vadenberg, Bud and Mamie Hoagland, and Mamie was of Vadenberg. And then Jean Dismore on the other side, and the school across the street. And with the school, you saw a lot.
So what got you interested in the town genealogy?
Something would come up and people would ask questions. I didn't know because like I said, I was from another area. But I got to digging, somebody said something, okay, and told me where to go look it up. So I went and looked it up. And the more you look, the more you question, and I just kind of got into it and started digging. And then I discovered newspapers on film and read all the old Entiat Times. And it's an incomplete set, but it gives you a background of especially the old families, so you appreciated, okay, then they were related to such and such by such and it just opened up a whole new world, and the more you learn, the more you want to know. And then that come along, and okay, then this happening, like the '48 flood, how people tied themselves and worked together and overcame that. The fires, they all worked together. And it's a community, and yet in the long look of it, it was a family.
So you lived in these other places. When did you move here?
Okay, in '76, we bought the house up above here that Lambs are in now, and then we built this one in '82. And we should have done it earlier, like most parents, you kick yourselves, but we thought, well, it'd be better for the kids. They were in high school and they could have more room because we didn't have a lot of room up there. And we moved in here in May of '88. Gail graduated in '89 and Bob in '92. So technically, we built it for us, and now it's too big.
That happens quite often.
That happens
Yes.
quite often, you bet.
What kind of events, hardships do you remember since living here in India?
Oh, I think, well, the '88 fire on Dinkelman, we had just been in here just a little time. That was a September fire. We had no yard to speak of, so it was all brown and dry. And we had the deck. And the wind would blow, and we get these long, burnt pine needles landing on the deck. And so after that, boy, we got our yard in and stuff like that. Then the '94 fire was bad for everybody. It was like this last one, heavy smoke, it lasted. And like everything else, everybody went together and fought it and come up above.
I know that this is our first dealings with a big fire, and we prayed for rain to clear, just to clear the air
Yeah.
from the smoke.
Okay, you didn't ever really know anything about the old town of Entiat except
No.
what you've read in papers or
Papers, pictures. So to me, that's I'm out in left field. But anything I see, I'm looking at it.
And can you describe somebody or something, some story from your years living here? A person, an event?
Well, the one thing that it wasn't me, and I wasn't here at the time, but Carl's dad. The winter of '49 and '50, it was a heavy snow winter, and there was a high deer population, and they were starving. And the deer were literally eating the orchard trees down. And there was no chance for buds because the deer had just ate that much into them. And his dad got out and just literally started mowing the deer down, shooting out a season, which really went against his grain. But it was the only way the orchardists would survive. The county sheriff come out, arrested him. He never spent time in jail because they knew he had to keep track of the farm and such. And they took him to trial, and he was acquitted because of the conditions. But that was what started when the game department and they went through and put in the deer fences. And that's affected everybody ever since. And like where they put the fence down along 97A now. It gets to a point you got to do something.
I can remember that. I can
And
remember seeing the picture in the paper.
yeah, I ran across the articles in one of Alice's scrapbooks, and someday I'll do an article for the Chelan Mirror on it because, like for these age, they've never heard of it. But it affected everybody. And old John Brown. Oh, John Brown was a case. He would, my folks ran cattle, and so he would herd them. And he would come by about once a week because he'd be up in the hills with him. And Mother'd cook dinner. Oh, he liked somebody else's cooking because he always had canned food, and he'd lived out of his canned food. Well, then my grandfather come up from Texas to visit. Oh, and were they a pair? They both built about alike, walked alike, talked alike, and they hit it off. And my mother had a horrible time. My grandfather would not take the time to go stand in the shower. He just didn't think he needed it. And John Brown piped up, says, a man needs a shower at least once a week. So at least my grandfather would, he condescended to go into the shower once a week. So old John, he was slow in some, but there were certain